I the jerk for these traffic infringements? The situation evolved where my partner accrued repeated speeding infringements in my vehicle, which is registered in my name. This culminated in me having one driver's license point remaining and receiving a letter from the Department of Transport suggesting a driving course to improve my driving skills. However, I was not the one driving. I received and took the penalty for repeated infringements. I was very upset when I received the letter and told my partner that they could no longer drive my car. The response was prolific swearing and name-calling at me. They called me names and questioned what I knew about Department of Transport procedures. Time went on, and my partner proceeded to receive repeated speeding infringements again, this time in his registered vehicle. He also received a letter from the Department of Transport when he had 1 point remaining. The letter suggested a driving course. Another infringement was issued, and it looked like he was going to lose his license. This final infringement occurred several days before he was set to leave the country for a 3-week surf holiday. He insisted that I take the infringement. He told me I had to sign a statutory declaration to take the infringement so he would not lose his license. I said, sorry but no. I reminded him that he verbally abused me when he got the infringements in my car, and when I was upset after receiving my letter from the Department of Transport. He was furious and used further offensive language. He said I was the biggest problem ever. The next day, he said all his friends agreed that I was the biggest problem for not taking the infringement. Apparently, he told them that I said no. I said I did not really care, but asked if they knew how many infringements I had already taken. He started swearing at me and said their wives would do it. I still said no. He managed to have enough points reimbursed to take the infringement and not lose his license. He then gave me the silent treatment and went on his surf trip. He never messaged me, only our son, until the last several days before coming back. Apart from the driving issues, my partner claimed he needed his license to provide for the family and accused me of sabotaging his income. I was on a $55,000 salary with a $20,000 side hustle, contributing to the household income. I was working long days and nights. During this time, he failed to pay taxes and other obligations. When I reminded him of these obligations, I was told to shut up. I felt like I was a valid contributor, having worked myself senseless to contribute as well. You can only take so many infringements. Am I the asshole? I think you are not in the wrong here for not accepting the infringements, but staying with someone who disrespects and continually verbally abuses you is a tough spot to be in. Your other half sounds like a piece of work, honestly. Falsely declaring yourself as the driver of someone else's car could get you both in serious legal trouble. Why are you even still with him? Am I the jerk for having sex when my friend was in the next room? I, a 21-year-old female, went to visit my girlfriend, a 20-year-old female a couple of days ago with my friend, a 23-year-old male across the country. My girlfriend, my friend, and I had been planning this trip for a couple of months and decided that we would spend most of the days camping and the rest at her house. My girlfriend and I tend to be attached to the hip when we see each other, but not in a sexual way. More like a part of my body is always touching her just to make sure that she is right next to me. She is always respectful when it comes to public displays of affection. While camping, her 2 friends joined us, so there was not much sexual activity. The last couple of days we spent at her house. Her house is a little over 90 years old. There is a lot of echo, and you can hear most things going on both inside and out. My friend was put in the room across the stairway from hers, and the 3 of us spent the next 2 days resting and sightseeing. One of those days, my girlfriend and I were having sex around 10 a.m. for a while. Both of us were mindful of him being in the house and kept reminding each other to keep it down. I felt like we did not make much noise to begin with, and the little noise my girlfriend did make was muffled by a pillow. Later that day, I noticed him being short, even telling my girlfriend he was in a mood and needed space. She, coming from a very conservative area, started to get extremely anxious. I reassured her that if he was really bothered and wanted to talk to us, he would, but to give him space if he wanted it. As time went on, I started to feel weirder about things. On one hand, I felt guilty and started to think that maybe we were louder than we thought. On the other hand, I remembered that our friend group is pretty raunchy, and we have all done and seen way worse, him included. I briefly talked about it with him, and he said that it was a him problem and to just tell him to go on a walk or something next time. I figured that was fair, and I apologized for making as much noise as we did. However, there was still a weird air around him for the rest of the trip. It felt like he was hiding his anger or annoyance and kept apologizing for being there. He also apologized for spending most of his time with my girlfriend the last time she was visiting us. The 2 would hang out while I was at work and worked on a gift for me. I reassured him that I appreciated him taking her around and keeping her busy while I could not, especially since the alternative was her staying trapped in my apartment. However, I felt like my reassurances did little to change anything. I thought I might have been the asshole, but when I brought it up to my friends, they all said that he was being weird. So here I am. Reddit, am I the asshole? It seems like he might be going through a rough patch or might have feelings for one of you, which could explain his reaction. A simple solution could have been him using earbuds or headphones, so the fact that he didn't suggest that wasn't the real issue. He might have felt like a third wheel, especially if he thought it was a friend's trip, but it turned into something else. It's understandable to feel uncomfortable in that situation, but it's hard to label anyone as the jerk here. Am I the jerk for telling my best friend that she shouldn't have dated her ex? I, a 15-year-old female, have a best friend named Aita, whom I love dearly. She is the same age as me, and we are both at the end of our sophomore year. Both of us were single until the third quarter of the school year. Around the beginning of that quarter, I got a boyfriend who really suited me. We started talking at the beginning of our sophomore year and eventually began dating. He likes the same things as I do, and I love the same things as he does. My friend Aita got a boyfriend in the last quarter, meaning she would have little to no time to get to know her ex. There is obviously the summer, but her ex-boyfriend's parents take away his phone during the summer. She started talking to her ex-boyfriend, Amir, around the end of the third quarter, entering the fourth. Amir is a well-known troublemaker and heartbreaker at the school. This reputation even reached Aita several times. She was delusional, thinking that he could potentially change for her, which was wrong. They moved out of the talking stage and entered into a relationship. They are not suitable for each other because they have two different personalities and styles. I have told Aita plenty of times that he is bad for her. She always shuts me out and starts to talk about how nobody expected my boyfriend and me to get together, implying that we are not good for each other, to retaliate against me. This hurt me, so I gathered evidence to show how delusional she was. Once, on a call with her, my boyfriend and Amir, he said really rude things about her to my boyfriend and me while she was away from her phone. We took this to heart and told her once we got off the phone. She was in clear disbelief about this situation and wanted proof. Since it was a FaceTime call, we could not provide evidence that he said it. A week later, I told her again that he was not suitable for her. We were walking around the beautiful beach and she brought up her ex as a topic, so naturally I did too. I started to speak about how I did not think he was good for her and that she deserved much better because she was just carrying every girl's hand-me-down. She took my comment offensively, started cussing at me and caused a scene. We left the beach to avoid any trouble, and she started to listen to the people who told her not to get with him. A day later, she caught him cheating in some random closet in the school and broke up with him. I could not believe that I got to tell her I told you so. She told me to fuck off and to have fun with my boyfriend. Now, I sort of feel bad. Am I the asshole for calling her out on her hand-me-down ex-boyfriend? You are in the wrong here, OP. There's no good reason to say I told you so. It's never helpful and actually cruel, especially when she just had her heart broken. It's almost a rite of passage to have a shitty boyfriend at 15, and trying to intervene unprompted often just pushes friends away. She's already going through something hard and could have used some kindness from you instead. Am I the jerk for repeatedly kicking the person's chair in front of me? So just last night, my boyfriend and I, both 19 years old, went to watch my brother's school performance. All was going well until we got seated. 4 kids who were 2 years younger than us sat in front of us. They were obnoxious and loud, constantly yelling out stupid remarks like, "Oh my God, is that Peter Pan?" while looking at a picture of Peter Pan. The play was about Peter Pan. I actually ended up responding, "No, it's George Washington." But of course, they ignored me as they were just doing it to be stupid, which in itself was rather annoying. My boyfriend and I ignored them, choosing to focus on the show. But that got even harder to do as they apparently knew one of the kids who were performing. Every time they saw this person, they would start standing and throwing gang signs in the air, trying to grab this little child's attention. They were around 16 or 17 years old, and the kid was like 10 or 11. They were also constantly giggling and sitting on top of each other. Occasionally, they got up and started fighting over whose chair they wanted. Eventually, I got tired of this and began to subtly kick the chair in front of me. Not hard, but repetitively. They didn't notice at first, but then began scooting their chair forward so I would not be able to reach. They also started complaining to their friends who kept looking between me and the chair. I, of course, just ignored them and watched the play as I kicked. I told my boyfriend what I was doing, and he was giggling at the fact that they could disturb people but couldn't handle being disturbed themselves. At some point, a 7-year-old kid saw me kicking the chair. We made direct eye contact and nodded, and he then joined in, kicking their chairs as well. I was waiting for them to say something, but they ended up just being quiet for the rest of the show, so I kind of got what I wanted. However, I feel like that might have been a little unnecessary, so am I the asshole? TL Doctor, the people in front of us at a play were being disruptive, so I kicked their chair. This kid is going places. You are not in the wrong here. Annoying them silently was a good option, especially if it got them to behave. It's funny how they could disturb others but couldn't handle being disturbed themselves. Am I the jerk for not being able to support my friend as much as they need? My long-distance friend, who is in her late 30s, had a miscarriage that resulted in surgery and is now dealing with her father who is dying. I have a lot of compassion for her as I have lost both parents and I know the pain involved. I am sad for her pregnancy loss as well. Recently, she has wanted more support than ever before, which I understand due to the circumstances. I have tried to offer it. Most of the time, I will stop what I am doing, even if it upsets my spouse, my child, or whoever I am with, and I will call her. I have canceled plans. I have gone over time on my 30-minute lunch break. I have stayed up way too late. I have been late to social engagements in an effort to be on the phone with her and support her. I myself am going through a divorce. I was diagnosed with a stomach ulcer which was caused by not eating much due to anxiety. I am not in a great place myself. My friend has recently gotten upset with me because I was not able to immediately fly and travel to see her the day after her unplanned surgery. Her husband was caring for her physically, but she wanted more than just him while she recovered. She offered to pay for a plane ticket, but my spouse was traveling and I had no one to watch our pets. I also had 2 doctor's appointments during the days she wanted me there. My spouse was not comfortable with hiring a pet sitter we do not know to be in our home. And with my doctor's appointments, I told her I could fly to see her 3 days later than she wanted. She was not happy with my offer and viewed it as a rejection. She did not take me up on my offer to come see her when I was able. I checked on her daily and I sent a gift to her with minimal response. A few days later, I had picked up my spouse from the airport and we immediately had to go drive to our child's karate graduation. My friend called me and I answered in the car even though my spouse finds it rude to be stuck in the car while I am on the phone. I spoke with her for 20 minutes, then said I had to hang up because it was time for our child's event. She understood, but about an hour later texted asking me to call when I left the event because she needed advice. I explained in text that I was at my child's event, and we were taking him out to dinner after, and I would not be able to call that night. I offered to call in the morning before work, on my 30-minute break at work, after I got out of work, or all 3 if it would help. She responded telling me she needed a break from our friendship. Since then she ignored me for days and then texted one line saying her father was dying. Of course, I responded that I was sorry and I know how hard that is. After that, she replied with a long text about how I have rejected her and she cannot handle it. I did my best to be there for her. I texted, called, and sent a gift. I offered to travel as soon as I was able. I offered to call her as soon as I was not in the middle of family obligations. Am I the asshole? She isn't treating you like a friend. She's treating you like her on-call therapist. You can't put your life on hold or neglect yourself and your family to offer her a shoulder. Maybe try writing a letter explaining how much you care, but also the position you're in and what you're currently able to offer her. Dial this way back, and if she can't handle a weekly phone call where you each share what's going on and support each other, then accept that this friendship has run its course. Am I the jerk for not wanting to pay any more for my child's Debs ball? Okay, kicking off. 20 years ago, we closed the 7th grade school year with a small function. It was an informal party or dance, much like in many American programs. There was music, snacks, and a late night of innocent fun. This year in 2024, my daughter's school has chosen to throw a formal debutante's ball. There will be dressing up, makeup, and coordinated dance events. They are going the whole 9 yards, with participation trophies for all attendance. As a father, I want the best for my daughter and have bought into the experience. We paid for her attendance ticket, paid for our attendance tickets, bought the dress, got her some cute costume jewelry, and are currently looking for the perfect heels. Yesterday, my daughter came home from school with a 15-page manual for the event. A couple of points caught my attention. First, the school is asking for equipment donations such as tables, chairs, and table dressings. Each item is listed with its monetary value should a parent prefer to pay for the equipment directly. Each listed item ranges from the equivalent of 2 weeks' pay to some at 1 week's pay. Fair enough, they are looking to make it special. I do not have that kind of disposable income and have already put a lot into this, but maybe others will be able to help out. The second point is when it really started sinking in for me. The manual explains how children are encouraged to approach friends, family, and local businesses to sponsor a special message of encouragement to be announced at the event and specific to the pupil for a fee. The larger the fee, the more extravagant the announcement. My response at this point has been to sit my daughter down and explain to her the trappings of greed. I explained how the school is clearly overexerting its position. She is to return to school after the holiday and, in general, keep quiet. If pushed, she should explain how her parents are embarrassed at how desperate the school is to sell the children's end-of-year experience. Am I the asshole for placing a hard limit on when I will stop opening my wallet for my daughter's end-of-year event? P.S. The final kicker is that the king and queen at the event will be designated by the pupils who sell the most raffle tickets for a draw being made at the event. You are not in the wrong here. This school is clearly using the students to raise funds, and it's unfair to put that kind of pressure on them. The excess spending is likely coming from the parent organizers who are using donations to fund their lavish plans because the ticket price doesn't cover their expenses. It's important to stick to your own budget and explain to your daughter that your family has other priorities for spending money. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.